Hello everyone, my name is Akshay Palande and I will be teaching you economics. In this session, I will be talking about the Bretton Woods institutions, which is the IMF and the World Bank. How they were formed, what are their goals, and what is India standing in those institutions. So, beginning with, I will start with, beginning with what was the Bretton Woods, what are these Bretton Woods institutions? Actually, there was a conference that was held in Bretton Woods, Washington, at Bretton Woods in New Hampshire, USA, after the World War II. Okay. Why was this conference held? Was because at that time the European economies, the Western European economies like France, West Germany, UK, their entire infrastructure had collapsed during the war, and they needed money urgently to build their own infrastructure. For this exact reason, the world leaders met together and formed two institutions, that is IMF and World Bank. These institutions were supposed to control the money, they were supposed to provide the money to these Western economies. But after the Marshall Plan, that is after this thing was the money that was supposed to be provided to these Western institutions was under Marshall Plan. And after the Marshall Plan was executed, as in when the infrastructure of these economies was back to normal, when their employment, when they started having their own industrial complexes, the IMF and World Bank, they started diversifying into providing loans to other people. They started diversifying in their functions. I'll explain to you what these functions are. Okay. So basically, historically, these two institutions were supposed to, especially World Bank was supposed to provide soft loans or loans at a less interest to the Western economies, Western European economies, which had collapsed completely. Okay. But now currently, both these institutions have their own different goals and they are pursuing it in their respective ways. Okay. So I'll start with IMF. IMF, that is International Monetary Fund. Okay. It's based in Washington and its head is usually from the Western European economies. It's either from France or maybe Germany, or you can talk, United Kingdom. It's always from one of these countries. Okay. It's always been a tradition. So what is IMF? IMF was basically formed in 1944. Okay. Currently it has around 188 members in it. Okay. And IMF is joined, and when you join IMF, the members are given quota guides. Okay. What are these quota guides? Okay. First is subscription. Under subscription, these member countries have to pay certain amount of money, to IMF to be a part of the organization. This money is basically paid in two ways. One third of the money is paid in dollars, pounds, yen, or in SDR, that is special drawing rights. I'll explain to you what SDR is later on as I proceed. So currently, I'll just explain you how the fees are supposed to be paid to IMF. Okay. And 2/3 of the money to this organization has to be paid through your own currency. As in, if we are talking about India, then it has to be paid in rupees. Okay. So why do we subscribe to IMF? Because IMF will, that I will come to later on, but I'll first tell you what are the guides. Okay. Then in IMF there is something called as voting rights. Okay. Now you subscribe to IMF through these funds, and every single country is given a quota. Okay. India currently has its quota at around 2.44%. Okay. India's share in IMF is 2.44%. It's easier to say this way, and it's revised every 5 years. And in 2010 it was revised, so now in 2015 again it will be revised. Okay. So we have subscribed to the IMF through these two ways. That is, we have paid 1/3 of our fees through international currencies and SDRs, and 2/3 through our own rupees. Okay. There is something called as now, why do you subscribe to IMF? The first and the foremost reason is access to finance. What does the IMF do is, the IMF can provide loans when the government or an economy is in crisis. This happened in India in the 1990s. Okay. In 1992, the IMF sponsored money, or you can say the IMF lended money to the Indian economy through structural adjustment program, that is SAP. Okay. Under this program, there were various guides, various rules that India had to, various conditions you can say that India had to follow. But I'll come to that as we go ahead. But currently, I'm just telling you that IMF provides loans to economies when they are, they are having cash crunches or trade account deficit or balance of payments, crisis. So at such times it is given. And the third thing in IMF that is more important to know is voting rights. Okay. Like in WTO, where the voting rights is one country equals to one vote, IMF has voting rights according to the quotas. So India's quota is around 2.44. So accordingly, India's voting rights will be there. So naturally, United States of America, which has a higher quota in IMF, will have a higher percentage of votes. Okay. This is how IMF works. Basic thing is, there is subscription through, we are subscribed through these two methods. There is access to, why do we subscribe to IMF? Why are we part of IMF? Is because of access to financing. And the third most important point about IMF is its voting rights. Okay. Now, what are the objectives of IMF? Okay. I'll just tell you those objectives. To promote international monetary cooperation. What happens is basically, due to globalization, the economies are integrated into one at the current moment. So, when the 2007 crisis happened in United States of America, it did affect most of the economies across the world, except for a few like India, which are not to that extent still integrated with the world economies. So when there was a crisis in United States, it did affect Western Europe, it did affect Northern America itself, including Canada, Mexico. Okay, so the IMF plays a very vital part in such an integrated economy to coordinate the economy, to coordinate the money. Okay. So what happens is, it makes sure that there is no fluctuations in the supply or demand of money, especially dollars or pounds or yens or euros. So this is its main task. The second task is to facilitate balanced growth of international trade for economic growth of all member countries. Okay. What it does is, it promotes balanced growth, as in, if there is a country that is about to have an economic crisis, it will go and warn that country that your country will have it will go and warn the government of that country that your country will someday have this economic crisis. So please make sure that you check, put it into check. Okay. Then it helps the member countries at times to meet its balance of payment crisis. Okay. This is one of the main things that India was involved in 1992, when India had a balance of payment crisis, as in India had just enough reserves to last it for 7 months of imports. But that time, the IMF gave Indian governments, interest money on certain interest rates on certain conditions as well. Okay. So this is one of the works. Okay. Now IMF is a very large organization, you can say, and it basically has its own, what do you say, agendas in this as well. Well, how can you say that it has its own agendas? Is basically countries like United States of America or the Western economies, they basically believe in free market. So when the IMF is providing loans to others, when the IMF is providing money to other governments, they basically make sure that these countries which the loans are provided to open up their market, so that United States or the Western countries or the developed countries can actually access this market and make their own profit. So this is their motive behind it, which is not told to everyone. Okay. So now I'll come to something called as the special drawing right. Okay. As I said, 1/3 of our subscription fees are paid through special drawing rights. So what are special drawing rights? Special drawing rights. Special drawing rights is a basket of 4 key, currencies. That is your dollar, obviously. Then there is the pound. Then there is the yen and the euro. These are the 4 currencies on which SDRs are drawn. Okay. So now what are these SDRs? Okay. SDRs basically are, every country has a share of SDRs in the IMF. Okay. And these SDRs are used to, you can get loans on the basis of these SDRs from IMF. Okay. That is a proportional thing. As much as SDRs that you have, there is a certain proportion of limit of loan that you can take from IMF. Okay. So these are SDRs. Okay. And there has been a talk going on amongst the world economies to promote SDRs as a common economy throughout the country for dealings, as in trade. So that we can remove these items, that is dollar, pound, yen and euro. Okay. So that there is a common currency, there is less amount of fluctuation and it will be better to facilitate trade. But as we all know, these countries, that is America or UK, are not ready to give up their supremacy of their currency. So it's still in the hanging. Okay. Now coming back to IMF. Okay. IMF basically lends out loans. It basically lends out money for those who want to borrow. Okay. It can be a developed country, it can also be an underdeveloped country, it can be a developing nation, whatever. Okay. So there are 2 ways in which IMF lends out money. That is general agreement on borrowing and new agreement on borrowing. Okay. Now what is general agreement on borrowing? See, basically in 1962 this scheme of borrowing was made. Okay, what happens in this is the IMF borrows its money from developed countries, okay, industrialized countries. There are 11 industrialized countries from which the IMF will borrow its money and it will lend that money out to someone else. As in, if this is IMF and these are the 11 developed nations. Okay. So IMF will borrow money from them and it will lend out to other economies, maybe developing economies. Okay. So this is called as the general agreement on borrowing. Okay. So now post 90s there was a huge growth of a lot of countries. A lot of countries include India, China. You can talk about the Southeast Asian, miracle economies. That is Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, okay, Brunei. These economies. There was a growth of South America. There was a growth of South Africa. So now these countries were also included, and they now form something called as the new agreement on borrowing. In this new agreement on borrowing, the money is not taken only from the 11 industrialized countries, but the group of 39 member countries has been formed from whom the money is taken. Now, why is this? Okay, GAB, that is General Agreement on Borrowing, is not that important now. Currently, what is important is new agreement on borrowing. And why? Okay, why is it important? Because it includes most of the upcoming or the growing economies in it, like China, India, Southeast Asian countries, okay, South Africa, Russia is growing at this moment. Okay, so and under this agreement, the euro crisis were avoided. What happened in euro crisis? What happened during the euro crisis was when their bonds were not bought by anyone, IMF went to countries like India and China and requested these countries to invest their money in these bonds. Through this scheme, the IMF took money, that is now this is a 39 country pool. From this, IMF took money and invested it into the European economy, Euro. Okay. India was part of this lending. India lended around $2 billion under this agreement to IMF. China lended a lot, much more than India. Okay. So this is how IMF works. Okay. There are two things, that is general agreement on borrowing and this thing, new agreement on borrowing. Okay. Now how does, okay, yeah, that's about it. Then, yeah, why does the IMF, lend out money to other countries? Okay, it lends out money so that to rebuild the international reserves, as in 1999 India had a lack of foreign exchange reserves, so at that time IMF gave money to India. Then it gives money to stabilize currencies, as in if the Indian rupee, if the Indian rupee today against a dollar is 60 rupees, suddenly because of the lack of dollars in Indian market, it goes on to 68. Just an example, okay, just take it as an example. What will happen is that Indian Reserve Bank of India will try to infuse dollars into the market so that the rate goes back to 60. But what if the Reserve Bank of India doesn't have that foreign exchange? At that time it can go to IMF. At that time it can go to IMF and take the money from them. Okay. So then it also helps to, ward off the balance of payments of trade. As in, if there is a high rise of CAD, that is current account deficit. What is a current account deficit? Is imports are greater than exports. So what happens here is, if your imports are greater than your exports, you will obviously end up losing more money. Okay. So at such a time, if you don't have money, if a country doesn't have money, it can approach IMF and take money from them. Okay. So these are a few times when IMF usually lends out to the economies. Okay. So what are the facilities through which IMF lends out its money? The first and foremost is poverty reduction and growth facility. That is poverty reduction, PR, and growth facility. Under this, the IMF lends out money to the poor economies, okay, to ward off their balance of payments, or to because there is foreign exchange is less. Under such things, it usually gives out the money. Then there is something called as the exogenous shock facility. Okay. Under this scheme, the IMF provides financial assistance to low-income group economies when they are when in the case of a global shock. What is a global shock? Is if suddenly the market is deficit, as in the world economy is deficit in dollars, then even low-income countries will also have less dollars. So at that time, the IMF will lend money through exogenous shock facilities. Okay. Then there is something called as standby arrangements. Okay. What happens in standby arrangements is very strong. Okay, it provides loan to countries which have a very strong policy or a better economic framework. Like India, you can take example of India, you can take example of China. Now these countries have strong policies compared to African nations, which are poor. We are not a poor nation, we are a developing nation. So for such nations, money is given to standby arrangements. Okay. Then there is, IMF also lends out money for natural disasters that occur in a country. For example, the tsunami that happened, let's take the example of the Fukushima reactor, the destruction because of the Fukushima reactor. There was an earthquake in Japan. At that time, there was a disaster of the nuclear power project of Fukushima in Japan. So, to avert these disasters or to overcome these disasters, relief is provided by IMF through, various agencies. Okay. Then IMF also provides money through extended fund facilities. What is this extended fund facilities is? under this scheme, the IMF will provide loan. Along with that, it will suggest certain different, what do you say? Economic measures that the country has to take care, bring about in its economy. Like it will suggest certain policy measures that the country or the nation has to bring about in its economy. Okay. So these are few facilities through which the IMF lends out money to the country. Okay. Can be poor countries as well as strong, economic developed countries like India. Okay. So this is what the IMF does. It provides money, but there is a glitch in this. What the IMF does is it provides money at a very high interest rates, okay, and it makes the country pay in. Okay, it provides money at a very high interest rate, and it tells the economies to open. It tells the country to open up its economy. Okay, for that, I will give you an example of the Indian economy in 1992. What